Good evening, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Did you like that? It was afternoon half an hour ago, and now it's evening. Magic. It's wonderful to see everybody this evening who's here in person at the temple and who is with us on the live stream as well. I'm Jen Rower, I'm the cantor here, and I am excited this evening to be joined by Joe Jacoby and Faggy Benstein, who are going to be helping to lead the service. Very much looking forward to some different voices from the Bima. It's always wonderful to hear a multitude of voices. We are going to begin on page 129 near the bottom, page 129, with Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereini. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereini. Oti turn now to pages 120 and 121, and I would like to invite Joe and Faggy forward to light the Shabbat candles for us this evening.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kishanu b'mitzvotav l'tzivanu hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Please rise and turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
turn to page 148. The Baraku. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, amcha אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
together. You shall love
Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God.
We sing the Mika Mocha together on page 158.
Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
We turn to page 161. In the middle of the page, give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Please turn to page 164 and rise. The tefillah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot, Umevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umachaya, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. And we turn to page 173 and read together. At the top of the page, may
These hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ritzei, Ritzei, Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, Be'amcha Yisrael, U'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel, U'tehi leratzon tamid, U'tehi leratzon tamid, avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otacha levadecha, be'yirah navod, she'otacha levadecha, be'yirah navod.
turn to page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, the awareness of soul, our light within, the world around us so filled with beauty, the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha, Kulecha Na'eh Lehodot. Shalom Rav, טסים לעולם, כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. At this time in our Shabbat service, we think of those in our families and in our congregational community who are in need of healing. If you'd like to share the name of a loved one who is in need of healing with this community, I invite you to do so now. We join together in the Misha Berach for healing in the middle of page 371. May the source of We pause now for a moment of silent prayer. in my heart, in your soul, in my heart, in your soul, holy holiness. Every step, every breath, every step, every breath, holy holiness. As with me, so with you. As with me, so with you, holy holiness. Oh, say shalom bimromam. Huya, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. I'd like to invite Fagi forward to share her Devar Torah with us.
Okay, thank you. Temple family, happy end of Pesach and Shabbat Shalom. Cantor Jen, Joe, I can't express enough the joy and gratitude I feel in sharing the Shabbat service, and especially with my temple family. There is a statement rather an injunction in the Talmud that says, you must give credit where credit is due. You can be sure I have no intention at my age of messing with the Talmud. A number of weeks ago, Janet Rogalski gave a fantastic Devar Torah where she brilliantly pointed out the parallels, coincidences between April 1st and Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first of the Hebrew month of Nisan on the Hebrew calendar. She was brilliant in going back and forth between the secular calendar and the Jewish calendar for the sources. And of course, she left the conclusions to us. One of the greatest theologians of the 20th century, my mother of blessed memory, explained a coincidence this way. It is God's way of appearing, intervening anonymously. The themes that I will attempt to address this evening also have many parallels, and you can judge for yourself. We have just concluded Yizkor, remembering. The word Yizkor means to remember, and most often the floodgates of memories open, and we are overcome with a feeling of closeness and holiness. In the Hebrew language, there is no word for history. I'm going to repeat that. It doesn't exist. If you want to take a history course at Tel Aviv University, it's Historia. It's not Hebrew. We have the word Zachor, Zachrenu, remember. And not only that, but we are commanded to remember when we were slaves in Egypt, to remember to keep the Sabbath holy, to remember a lot of things, okay? Memory, memory, memory. Now, history is certainly very important, and we need them both. History, it's something that happens to somebody else at a time that I wasn't there and nobody asked me. And it's also very, very, very impersonal. Memory, my individual memory, and my collective memory with all of you as Jewish people defines me. So all of us are connected by memory. And of course, we need them both. A few weeks ago, while engaged with our 5th and 6th graders, I took a huge leap of faith and presented these concepts generally for older kids. Would they have any idea what I was talking about? To my complete joy, they got it. They not only got it, but was able to articulate the differences and give examples in their own life. I will tell you that there was, at that moment, such an incredible sense of holiness with the kids and myself. It was unmistakable, the connection of holiness was created by all of us, just as it is this evening. The Torah portion this week is Achrei Mot, and it opens with every tragedy is a tragedy, but the tragedy is immense. Following the sudden death of Aaron, the high priest, 2 sons, Nadav and Abihu, die and are taken away from him. It also happens to be on the very same day that Aaron HaKohen, the chief Kohen, is inaugurated. These 2 events on one day. You can only imagine. The Torah tells us he is rendered speechless. However, now Aaron and Moses become mourners. Then the source of life speaks to Moses, explicitly in the wake of the deaths of Aaron's sons, conveying through laws which the Israelites linked by shared history and memory. The way to create a response to tragedy, death, is by creating a holy community. We have work to do. The living, all of us have work to do. The imperative to be holy is fulfilled by protecting the vulnerable and aiding those who are poor and the strangers. And if there's anyone who knows anything about being strangers, it's us. It demands looking outside the parameters of one's immediate community and insisting on the inherent preciousness and dignity of all life, protecting it and responding to it when it's threatened through upon to open our hearts to the strangers, because we have felt the chilling way in which death makes absolute strangers of even those closer to us. And so, through the lens of loss, we learn to notice the act of opportunities to dissolve isolation, strangeness between human beings wherever possible. If we can internalize what it is at stake, and what there is to lose, while making responsibility and love the engines of our actions, the small and specific daily deeds of Kedusha, holiness, we are actually able to meet death and tragedy with humility, heroism, and courage. Ukraine. It's hard. There are many of us in this room who still have images of 80 years ago when there were tanks in the streets, where people were forced out of their homes, where there were mass graves, where people sheltered other people to give them life and share with them the little food that they had. The images are all too familiar. What else? I mean, there are no words. The unfathomable, barbaric horror that continues to fold before our very eyes on a daily basis. Yet, the outpouring of acts of loving kindness from local volunteers in the countries that are fleeing to, volunteers from the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, defines the word holiness. I tried to get to Hungary when this whole started to help with refugees. The medical chief is a good friend of mine, and he said, "No, you're not coming." Why? He said, "You're not coming. It's too dangerous." Okay. This week, I offered to go to Poland, to Warsaw. What these kids have seen, nobody should see. And I said to them, "Look, I'm boosted, I'm this, I'm that, I'm healthy, I adore kids. You don't need to know the language of love. You can't come. But you can come to Israel in a month." Poland has welcomed over 2 million refugees, over 160 to the city of Krakow. Krakow was, prior to the Holocaust, a large, bustling, thriving Jewish city. There is an effort throughout all of Poland by young Jews to rebuild Jewish communities, and Krakow is one of them, and has a JCC. Jonathan Ornstein is the executive director of the Krakow Jewish community. Neither the American-born nor his JCC members expected a full-scale Russian invasion into Ukraine. However, once it started, the community sprang into action. The 750-member JCC, which hosts preschool programs and Holocaust survivor programs, was literally transformed overnight. They see hundreds and hundreds of people They welcome everybody. Whoever you are, it doesn't matter, and their pets. Food, drama, counseling, kindergarten programs, art classes, language classes are all being provided for anyone who comes. Dror Israel and a volunteer organization has sent, they're based in Israel, they're a nonprofit they're an amazing organization that I'm happy to say our federation is part of. Reform, conservative, Orthodox rabbis responded to the call to assisting, and they went, and they're there. Their response, Hineni, I'm here. Ornstein reminds us, Krakow is 1 hour from Dachau. He reminds us, we have been refugees, we have been strangers, therefore we as Jews have an added responsibility to welcome the stranger, the oppressed, by making ourselves holy. Stubborn? Okay. Kedusha, holiness, abounds in so many ways. And I'm also thrilled to say that this congregation is involved in so many of those paths and journeys. Sunday is Yom HaShoah. Sunday we remember the victims of the Holocaust. I'm not going to spend any time on explaining that because I don't have to. About 7 years ago, Eli and I spent Yom HaShoah in Israel. And we went to an old age home in Tel Aviv where all of the residents were Holocaust survivors. They were surrounded by their families, by their children, by their grandchildren, singing the most amazing song, I Am Alive. I'm not going to sing because you'll never have me back. I can never walk in the door. But I am going to ask Cantor Jen, thank you, to share with me in the poem, because quite frankly, I'll never get through it myself. Listen, my brother, I'm still alive, and my 2 eyes are still raised to the light. Many are my thorns, but also my flowers, and ahead of me you are years too numerous to count. I ask, I pray, it's good that hope was not yet lost.
A psalm passes from generation to generation like a spring from long ago. And on to eternity, I ask and I pray, it's good that hope was not yet lost. Alive, alive, alive.
Yes, I'm still alive. This is the song which my grandfather sang yesterday to my father, and today I sing. I'm still alive, alive, alive. The people of Israel live. This is the song which my grandfather sang, and yesterday to father, and today.
My days and nights are full of life, and in my sky the pillar of fire still rises. I will sing endlessly. I'll spread out my hands to my friends across the sea. I ask and I pray, it's good that hope was not yet lost.
Listen, my brothers, I'm still alive, and my 2 eyes are still raised to the light. So here's to life, to all my guests, and to my children who seek to return, I ask and pray. It's good that hope was just not lost. This Sunday is Yom HaShoah, and it's, of course, under the auspices of the Federation. However, it's here, and I really ask all of you to think about coming. I can't think of a better way to bring holiness to those who are not here, but also to remember the Holocaust. I never call them Holocaust survivors. To me, they're Holocaust heroes, the ones who are still alive with us. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Fagi, for those incredible words. It's a very challenging Torah portion, and you really encapsulated it for us. Mourning, difficulty, holiness, community, all in one. Thank you so much. I have an announcement before the announcements, and you can find this announcement on page 570 of your prayer book. At this time of year, we are commanded to make this announcement in between the holidays of Passover and Shavuot, and the announcement is Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. You may or may not be familiar with this mitzvah, which we are about to fulfill. So we are commanded, as it tells us at the bottom of the page in the book of Leviticus, from the day on which you bring the Omer offering, which is the day after the day of rest, you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be complete, and that's how you know when Shavuot is supposed to come. And we learn that Pesach and Shavuot are the times of harvesting barley and wheat, and the word Omer denotes the measurement that is supposed to be offered. The rabbis designated a ritual of counting these days, but this practice in contemporary times has been interpreted as bringing to consciousness our people's movement from slavery to Sinai. So it's my hope that in counting these days, we each can make some kind of a personal journey between Passover and Shavuot, from slavery to Sinai, from days of difficulty to days of revelation. At the top of the page, Hinani muchan umzuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat haomer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. I invite you to join in the blessing with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom shiv'a yamim shehem shavuo echad laOmer. Today is the 7th day, making one week of the Omer. And now I would like to invite our president, Janine Huttner, forward for the rest of our holy announcements this evening.
We have 2 lovely arrangements on the bima this evening. The first arrangement is in loving memory of Susie Wittenberg from the Wittenberg family, and the second arrangement is in loving memory of Charles Kaminsky from Jeff and Kathy Kaminsky and family. The Kiddush is in loving memory of Irma Schwartz and Margie Shore from the Schwab and Bucky families. Upcoming events, we will have a spring mini mitzvah day on Sunday, May 22nd from 12 noon to 4 p.m. Pizza and salad will be served to all participants from 11:30 to noon, and the projects then include indoor, social hall storage room, and basement clean out and clean up, and an outdoor project of gardening, weeding, and lawn cleanup. Come and join our temple community as we work together on these post-pandemic projects. You can sign up by emailing Grace at the temple or by calling her at the temple office. Give as much time as you are able. We welcome all able-bodied persons to join us in performing this mitzvot. Hours will count as community service for our teens. Bring your gardening tools. Thank you in advance. As Fegi told us, the Yom HaShoah program will be this Sunday at 11 o'clock here at the Shomer. More information is available in the Toledo Jewish News. Other upcoming events include this Sunday, April 22nd, 24th, we have an afternoon concert at 3 p.m. at the Temple. This concert will feature small jazz combos from the BGSU Jazz Performance Department, directed by internationally active jazz pianist and guitarist, faculty member Ariel Kaesler. Free admission, all are welcome. Also on Wednesday, April 27th, the Gift of Mindfulness at 7 p.m. It is led by Cantor Jen, and it is live at the Temple, or you can participate via Zoom. The information for the sign-on for Zoom is in the Temple Bulletin. All are welcome, and there is no experience needed. On Friday, April instrumentalists adding spirit to the service. On Saturday, April 30th, will be musical Minyan at 10:30 at the Temple or via Zoom. And on Friday, May 6th, it's just because it's Shabbat at 6 p.m. at the Temple. Our joyous Shabbat service for all ages will be followed by a Shabbat dinner. Stay tuned for more details. Shabbat Shalom.
We rise, turn to page 586 for the Elena. You may be seated. We turn to page 593. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love we are comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you.
We think now of all those in our lives who came before us and are no longer with us, those who made our lives holy, whose memory continues to shine in our hearts. We think of those who died in recent days or weeks for whom the period of Shiva or Shloshim is still being observed. Lou Dara, Alan Kaminsky, and Arnold S. Feldstein. We also think of those whose yahrzeit falls on this Shabbat: Dr. Abel A. Applebaum, Ruth Breslaw, Gerald Jerry Cooper, Alvin Dixon, Ina Fetterman, Pauline Feit, Norma Fishbein, Ben Fleischer, Sheldon Frankel, Dr. Harold Gross, Adele Himmler, Bertha W. Jacobs, Charles Kaminsky, Leonora Lieserman, Morris H. Lempert, Morris C. Lobert, Mark Lawrence Miller, Etta Miller, Helen F. Osterman, Anthony Parker, Harry Parnes, Louis Podlish, Henry R. Porras, Hyman A. Posner, Irma Schwartz, Saul Schiff, Mary Schulman, Margie Schur, Jeffrey Steinberg, Claire Thal, Clara Thal, Roy Truhaft, Alfred S. Weinberg, and Susie Wittenberg. We rise now as one community to recite the Mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddish Yatom, page 598. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, bel ma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon u'v'yomei chon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei al-maya. Yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit alev v'yit halal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'amiran bel ma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. As we say together, amen. Our closing song this evening will be Ma Yafeh Hayom on page 634. You'll join us for Kiddush and Motzi in the foyer. If you'd like to join us, you can exit through the back door. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I think so.
It's totally up to you.
Can I think about it for a day or two? I'm going to do a